beginning Chapter 8, which is the finale. Applejack! Macintosh! Rarity called out through the trees in front of her. Is that you two over there? That was a wonderful Rarity voice. Rarity! Are y'all alright, Sugar Cube? Applejack said, turning around with her brother and racing towards Rarity. I'm alright, darling, she replied, her and Fluttershy now quickly approaching the two siblings. I'm just glad we're lucky enough to run into you on our way to the Crusaders Clubhouse. Well, I'll be. That's where you're headed. And hey, you got Fluttershy with you too, because Big Mac needs to talk more. I'm so glad you're alright, Applejack, Fluttershy said as she slowed down into a gentle trot. The two groups now in front of each other. I didn't know if you were going to be okay. I wanted to help, but Twilight said we had to go. I'm sorry. Now don't you be worrying about that, Missy, Applejack replied, giving Fluttershy a soft nudge. We was keeping Celestia busy while you and the others escaped. Ain't that right, Big Macintosh? Yep. Well, let's not linger here any longer then, darlings, Rarity suggested. The clubhouse should be just up ahead, so we should hurry. Wait, I have something important to tell you all first, Fluttershy spoke up in a loud whisper. You can tell us on our way there, Shy, Applejack replied, turning flank and about to freak into full gallop. We just gotta be hurrying is all. Oh, okay. The three other ponies had already begun running again, and Fluttershy sighed before she too took off, able to catch up quickly with the aid of her wings. Now, Fluttershy, Rarity said as Fluttershy came up next to them, what was it we need to know? Well, Celestia told me that the only way to stop her was to get her back to normal is with a lot of friendship and a bit of magic. Friendship and magic, huh? Applejack questioned, turning her head to the side to look at Fluttershy. So you're saying that we gotta use the elements of harmony on Princess Celestia? Oh, no. Well, I don't know. That was all she got a chance to tell me. I'm sorry. That's quite alright, darling. We'll make do. But first, you just need to reach the... Halt! A loud voice boomed, making all four ponies suddenly skid to an abrupt stop. Before them stood two Royal Pegasus ponies who had their flanks pushed into the pile of bushes. You cannot pass! What the hey? Applejack complained. What are y'all Royal Guards doing here? We're under strict order from Princess Luna to keep watch over this area, one of the guards said. We cannot allow any pony to pass beyond this point. But why not? Rarity asked. There is currently a plan being played out as we speak that Princess Luna believes will save Princess Celestia from her alternate self. If we allow any interruptions, it may ruin everything. But where's Twilight? Applejack spoke out. And Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie. The pink one and the rainbow-colored one are currently safe inside of a small wooden structure taking cover. Twilight Sparkle is busy with the plan to cure Celestia. So she's alright. Rest assured, the second guard said. Any injuries or mental anomalies caused by her role in this will be tended to the best of ability by the Royal Equestrian physicians can provide. Injuries? Mental anomal what's? And just what in the hay are you? Applejack suddenly froze, her eyes widening to saucers that hit her. You're letting Celestia just have Twilight? What? Rarity gasped. Oh, no. We assure you that everything is being done at this point, the first guard said. You can return home and rest. We will take care of this. Heck no, I ain't just going home, Applejack yelled in an enraged tone, taking a step forward and eyeing both of the guards. One of my best friends is in trouble, and you want us to just forget about it? If you're not willing to comply, the second guard spoke up as both of the guards simultaneously stepped all the way out of the bushes and unfurled their wings. They stared directly into Applejack's eyes, both of their gazes beginning to beat back at the farmer ponies. But as Applejack had finally made a step back, a large hoof suddenly boomed against the ground before the two guards. I don't take lightly to no pony. I mean, no pony threatening my sister like that. Big Macintosh boomed in a low voice as he took another step towards the guards. Now our friend's in trouble, and you're gonna let us pass. Watch your mouth, laborer, the second guard spoke up. You crossed the line, and we're gonna take a big bite out of you. Big Mac replied, snorting a few times through his nose in anger. Biting off more than you can chew is just what I'm counting on. Big Macintosh leaned his muzzle down and pushed it directly up against both of the two guard ponies' nuzzles. The two guards stared straight at Big Macintosh with a heavy scowl, but Big Mac was completely unfazed. Giving off a heated snort, he applied more pressure, pushing both guards back a step. The guards retaliated by pushing at the same time with all their might, leaning their bodies towards the farmer pony. Big Macintosh's back legs shook a little from the tension, but quickly flexed as he used all his muscles to push back. Even both guards were no match as Big Macintosh quickly pushed them both backwards and onto their haunches, his eyes narrowed and burning with the subtle rage as he stared down the two guards. Now, Big Macintosh finally spoke, his dominance made obvious. You're both letting my sister and her friends through. You hear me? Both of the guards were now shaking slightly in fear, the second one giving a light gulp before they nodded in agreement. That is so stupid. Though their faces were still in a heavy scowl as they had always trained, their minds were well aware that this big red stallion could pulverize them both if he really wanted to. AJ, Big Macintosh spoke softly, his gaze still locked onto the guards. You and the others get going, you hear? Right, okay. Applejack stammered slightly, having just snapped out of the moderate chance she was in from watching her brother square off two royal guards. Well, come on, y'all, she called out to the other two who had just snapped out of their trance, their eyes returning to normal after being as wide as saucers. Let's go save Twilight. Right, Rarity acknowledged. Coming. The three ponies quickly trotted past Big Macintosh and the two guards, going straight into the bushes before them. As they poked their heads out to the other side, they could now see exactly the plan that had been going on. Twilight was sprawled out on her back in the middle of a large clearing with Celestia's body on top of her. They were both sweaty and panting heavily, and seemed to have been going at it for a while by the looks of it. The three gasped softly at the sight before Fluttershy started to take a step forward. Oh no. We have to help them. We have to save Twilight. Fire! A voice suddenly yelled out from the opposite side of the clearing, and the next moment a blue beam of magic shot from the patch of bushes on the far side of the clearing and connected directly with Celestia's forehead. Celestia froze at that moment, her eyes going wide as her pupils dilated and her mind seemed to plunge into subconsciousness. Meanwhile, Twilight was laying flat on her back with her head lazily on its side, panting wildly and breathing hard, not even paying attention to what was happening above her. Over on the other side of the clearing, Trixie was channeling all of her magic into the spell currently at work in Celestia's mind, the azure mare clenching her teeth from the difficulty of the process. Trixie's mind strained as she focused her thoughts into Celestia's mind. It was an absolute mess. It was an absolute mess in Celestia's mind, as if there had been a war raging within her subconscious. There were thoughts and ideas scattered everywhere, intentions and feelings seeming to battle one another, and even pockets where her mind's ideas somehow turned into jumbles of randomness. However, despite the chaos, an overwhelming consciousness was in control, and it was obvious that it was the Molestia side currently in charge. Trixie's spell then began to work through Celestia's brain, grabbing at the bits of the Molestia persona and bundling them together to be packaged up and moved to the furthest depths of her subconsciousness. However, as she worked, Celestia's mind began to fight back. It resisted the spell violently, lashing out at Trixie's magic and even countering with some of Celestia's own magic. Trixie struggled to maintain control, but in the next moment, Celestia's horn glowed again, brightly, and the spell abruptly stopped. Trixie fell back as the spell broke, using her hoof to rub her forehead as she sat on her haunches. Looking up, she could now see Celestia standing up straight, her eyes narrowed and her gaze directly at her. Trixie's heart skipped a beat, now realizing that not only was the spell a failure, but she was now about to be caught and used in the same way Twilight was. The same realization hit Luna and Silvershield as well, the two realizing their best hope was to end this had just failed. Oh no, Luna gasped softly. We have to get out of here. Fall back! Luna and Trixie, get to the carriage now and... Silvershield's body was suddenly snagged by a magical force as it brought him floating out of the cover to the bushes towards Celestia. Luna and Trixie gasped and tried to make a dash for the trees, but they too were quickly picked up by another magical force and pulled out into the clearing. My, Celestia spoke triumphantly. What a pleasant surprise! You all came to have fun with me. Sister, no! Luna shouted, her own magic to break Celestia's magical grip on her, allowing her to land on her hooves just in front of Celestia. You have to stop this! Remember who you are! Remember your duty! Oh, little sister, I I know very well the duties I must perform, Celestia said as she lashed out a part of her hair towards Luna, gripping it around her waist and pulling Luna up against her. Now, I'm going to make sure that we perform our duties together. No! A voice suddenly cried out from behind the group. Turning around, Celestia saw a yellow Pegasus with a pink mane standing as tall as she could, staring straight at her. You will not, I repeat, you will not hurt my friends! Fluttershy yelled out, now using her wings to lift her into the air. Quickly, Celestia used her magic to grab a hold of the Pegasus and draw her near her. However, as she pulled Fluttershy to her, she now caught herself once again, peering into the dreaded stare that was used on her before. Fluttershy! Rainbow Dash called out as her and Pinkie rushed out of the treehouse. Rainbow! Pinkie Pie! Rainbow Dash. Applejack called out as her and Rarity stepped out of the bushes they were in, heading towards the center of the clearing. Girls! Fluttershy yelled out, her stare still focused on Celestia. I can't keep this up very long. We have to stop Celestia now. But how? Rarity cried. We don't have any sort of means to cure her. Yes, we do, Fluttershy replied. We just need our friendship and a little bit of magic, too. Magic? Twilight suddenly spoke in a soft whisper, leaning up into her haunches slowly. The element of magic. The sixth element. Yeah, Pinkie Pie suddenly announced with a small, as a small glimmer of light appeared around her neck. We can't let our friends get hurt. We gotta stick together. We have to be there for our friends and keep them safe from danger, Rainbow Dash added as a gem shaped like her cutie mark formed below her neck. We can't let our friends or any pony else who's good and kind at heart to be hurt by something like this, Applejack yelled, a golden necklace forming around her neck. We simply cannot stand idly by and watch such a travesty occur. We must do something. We must help, Rarity said as a large purple gem attached to a necklace took shape under her neck. It's the only way to save our friends, Fluttershy said softly at first, but then rose her voice loudly as her elemental necklace finished forming around her neck. And to save the friends of our friends, we're all your friends, Celestia, even if you're the ruler of Equestria, and no matter what, we will help save you from whatever's hurting you. Because, Twilight finally spoke up, standing on all four hooves as she looked up at Celestia. Because that's the magic of friendship. A golden crown with her cutie mark appeared on her head, shining brightly as Twilight stood up firmly. Suddenly, a large beam of light shined out from each of the ponies, each light a different color as the beams swirled together into a wondrous rainbow. The rainbow formed above the six, and then struck down at Celestia, engulfing her in a way similar to how it did with Nightmare Moon. Celestia cried out and released Luna from her grip, as the rainbow seemed to consume her, the swirling colors now covering her entire body. The sound of Celestia's struggles could no longer be heard over the roar of the element's magic swirling around Celestia. Finally, in a bright flash of light, the rainbow subsided. All of the ponies around Celestia were pushed back several feet, and then blacked out. Twilight Sparkle slowly opened her eyes, groaning slightly as she lifted her body around a bit, as she shifted her body around a bit on the grass below her. She turned her head a bit, smiling slightly as she saw the morning sun on the horizon. Then, with a large gasp, Twilight shot to her hooves, looking around to see she was still in the clearing from that night. Her friends were there as well, now also just beginning to wake up. Princess Luna and Silvershield were also present and waking up, except for Trixie, who was snoring loudly at the edge of the cluster. The only pony who wasn't around was Celestia, who Twilight couldn't even find after looking around again. Is every pony okay? Twilight asked as she looked over for her friends. Yes, I'm all right, Rarity replied, slowly getting to her hooves. I'm fine, just a bit worn out, Applejack said, giving out a loud yawn afterwards. I'm okay, Fluttershy spoke softly, laying on her hooves. I'm up! I'm up! Pinkie Pie called out as she happily bounced into place, the poofiness in her hair back. That was so cool! At the first, rainbow was like whoosh, and then it was like wow, and then it was like kerspa! It was so amazing, wasn't it, Dash? Oh, 5 more minutes, Rainbow Dash grumbled, turning over to her side as she tried to fall back asleep. Everyone's all right, then? Luna asked, now getting onto her hooves. I think so, Princess, Twilight replied. But where's Celestia? She just got done raising the sun, said a voice that approached from behind. As Twilight and the others turned around, they saw a big Macintosh and several royal guards come out from some bushes. Celestia's just fine. She just needed some time to think to herself is all. Where is she? Twilight asked, taking a step towards Big Mac. Is she going to be okay? I think she's more worried about all of y'all than she is about herself. But if I had to say, I'd think she'd be about ready to talk to some of you again. Where is she? Luna asked, walking up beside Twilight. I'm right here. A majestic voice spoke softly, making every pony in the area turn to look at Celestia behind them, her head held low. Sister, are you? I'm just fine now, Luna. Thank you. But I'm so terribly sorry for all the trouble I caused last night. Princess, what happened to you? Twilight asked, taking a few steps towards Celestia. Why did you suddenly go out and do all that? It's a long story, Celestia said with a soft sigh. After being around so long, I somehow grew an alternate personality that liked to indulge on such horrible things. I tried having it sealed away with magic, but that only works for so long. It's not your fault, big sister, Luna spoke solemnly. I mean, I didn't know when. It's just, back at the castle last night, I already know, little sister, Celestia interrupted. And don't worry. It was bound to happen eventually. I can only thank you for yours and every pony else's help in all this. I am truly honored by your devotion. So, what are you going to do now? Applejack said. Celestia sighed softly and thought to herself for a moment before she looked up at the sun, freshly risen over the horizon. Then, an idea popped into her mind as she looked down at Twilight Sparkle. How about a friendship report? Wow. How? Princess Celestia. Of course. Twilight stood up firmly as she looked up at Celestia, who smiled down at her proudly. Ahem. Dear Princess Celestia, sometimes there comes a time when a friend must help another friend get out or stay of danger. But when it's another close friend causing the danger, it's up to you and your friends to come together and help out the one in need, no matter what they do or what happens to them. As long as the friend is true and good at heart, a real friend would do everything they can to help them get better. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle. At the end of the short speech, a familiar brown owl just happened to be passing by when it landed at one of the windows at the clubhouse. Looking in, it saw 3 sleeping fillies in one end of the wooden room and a dragon sleeping on a table on the opposite end. Taking flight again, it hovered over to the dragon and landed beside it, pecking lightly at the dragon's shoulder. What? Spike mumbled as he sat up slowly, wiping an eye with his hand. As he looked over, he saw Owliscious' big eyes staring straight at him. Who? Whoa! He yelled out in surprise. Dude, I told you not to do that. It's creepy. The end. Well, now that Princess Molestia is over, next on the list is Cupcakes, which shouldn't take me that long, and I think after that it is The Plague, which was suggested to me by Star Wars Fan 63, so I hope you are all looking forward to that. I give this story 7 out of 10. It was a total clopfic, but, I mean, it had good development, I guess, but some of the parts were just really repetitive on how Molestia would just rape everything in sight, but I guess that's the whole point of the story, so, you know. It was a little tedious, but nonetheless, I enjoyed reading it, and that's all I have to say on the matter.